In 1861, the United States shattered. A war broke out, not with a foreign power, but between its own people. Families divided, states seceded, and the ideals of liberty and union were put to the ultimate test. This is the story of how America went to war with itself and why 1861 changed the nation forever. To understand 1861, we have to look back. For decades, the North and South had clashed over slavery, not just as a moral issue, but as a foundation of their economies and ways of life. Every compromise, Missouri, Kansas, Nebraska, the Fugitive Slave Act, only delayed the inevitable. The election of Abraham Lincoln in November 1860 was the final spark. He wasn't on the ballot in most southern states and still won. That told the South one thing: they had lost political power, possibly for good. Before Lincoln even took office, South Carolina seceded from the Union on December 20th, 1860. By February 1861, 6 more states followed: Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas. They formed the Confederate States of America, adopted a constitution, and named Jefferson Davis their president. In their view, they were preserving their rights and way of life, especially slavery. But to Lincoln, secession was rebellion, and disunion was not an option. March 4th, 1861, Lincoln's inauguration was anything but festive. In his address, Lincoln pleaded for peace but made his position clear. The Union is unbroken. I shall take care, as the Constitution itself expressly enjoins me, that the laws of the Union be faithfully executed in all the states. He wasn't calling for war, but he wouldn't walk away from a fight either. Then came Fort Sumter, a Union fort in Charleston Harbor, right in Confederate territory. Lincoln had to choose, abandon it or send supplies. Jefferson Davis had his own choice: allow the resupply or attack. At 4:30 in the morning on April 12, 1861, Confederate guns opened fire. After 34 hours, Union Major Robert Anderson surrendered. There were no casualties during the battle itself, but it was the first official act of war. Lincoln called for 75,000 volunteers to put down the rebellion. The response was electric. Crowds gathered, bands played, flags waved. But in the South, it was seen as an act of aggression. 4 more states joined the Confederacy: Virginia, Arkansas, Tennessee, and North Carolina. The capital of the Confederacy moved to Richmond, Virginia, just 100 miles from Washington, D.C. The country was now fully divided, 11 Confederate states versus 23 Union states. The first major battle came on July 21, 1861, in Manassas, Virginia, known as the First Battle of Bull Run. Union troops, green and eager, marched out to face Confederate forces. Civilians from Washington followed in carriages, expecting a quick victory and a picnic. What they got was chaos. The South, led by generals like Stonewall Jackson, held the line and counterattacked. Union forces broke and fled. It was a stunning Southern victory and a wake-up call for the North. By the end of 1861, both sides settled in for a long war. The Union launched the Anaconda Plan, a strategy to blockade southern ports and control the Mississippi River, squeezing the Confederacy economically. Meanwhile, the Confederacy hoped to hold out long enough to gain recognition from Britain or France, both of which relied on southern cotton. But the world watched cautiously. No nation wanted to back a rebellion, yet 1861 wasn't just about battles, it was about transformation. Factories in the North began churning out weapons, uniforms, and rail cars. The telegraph brought news from the front faster than ever before. Women stepped into new roles as nurses, fundraisers, even spies. And across both sides, thousands of soldiers, young and old, were being trained for a war that neither side had expected to last. By the close of 1861, over 100,000 soldiers had taken the field. Dozens of skirmishes and small battles had been fought, and yet the real war was only just beginning. What began as a fight to preserve the Union would soon become a battle over the soul of the nation and the fate of millions held in bondage. The year 1861 lit the match. The fire would rage for 4 long years, reshaping America forever. Thanks for watching Precise History. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please like, share, and subscribe. Drop a comment. What Civil War moment should we cover next? Until next time, stay curious and keep exploring the past.